With everyone else in the wildcard race gaining ground over the last couple of nights, the Blue Jackets need a win in a big way tonight, and we're going to talk about how they can do that on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. Big game tonight. Doesn't seem like a big game on the surface. It's only the Leafs. It's not a divisional thing. You're not like fighting with the Leafs for a playoff spot or anything like that. However, almost everyone else in the playoff race gained points over the past couple of nights, whereas the Blue Jackets have only had 1 point out of their last 4 available points and are on the outside looking in of the playoffs right now. They have been jumped by Ottawa, Montreal, and Boston. All 3 teams sitting on 52 points. The Blue Jackets sitting on 51 points. Now they do have a game in hand over Boston. And they also have a pretty good record in the last little bit. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games, the Blue Jackets. So it's not panic time necessarily, but it's going to be like this unless they pull away and all the other teams start losing. It's going to be like this, I think, which is a stressful way to play the last 40 games of the season, 35 games of the season, whatever it is. But it is just kind of a reality. In terms of last night was a big one, but Montreal won in regulation. The Rangers won in regulation, and Detroit and Philadelphia went to overtime. So that was a 3-point game. So Detroit got a point, Philadelphia got 2. The night before that, the Islanders won, obviously. That was against the Blue Jackets, which is not ideal. And Pittsburgh also won their game against the Kings. So again, it's getting real tight in here. The last place team in the Metro, the Islanders, are currently sitting on 45 points. That is only 7 points away from the second wildcard spot. It is 6 points away from the Blue Jackets, who are currently sitting at 4th in the Metro. The margin for error here is so small. Like I said, Ottawa, Montreal, Boston all sitting on 52, Columbus sitting on 51, New York Rangers and the Flyers both sitting on 50, Pittsburgh sitting on 48, Detroit sitting on 47, New York sitting on 45, Buffalo sitting at 41. I'm about ready to kind of count Buffalo out of this. I feel like once you're 10 points out of a playoff spot, it's you are about where you are, you know? So though this game itself is not notable because it's against the Leafs, it is kind of a good benchmark game. The Leafs are currently leading the Eastern Conference. But again, they're only 11 points ahead of the Blue Jackets. So or they're leading the Atlantic Division, excuse me. They're second in the Eastern Conference. But this is going to be a really interesting game to kind of look at because obviously the Blue Jackets beat them once already this season. But that game, I'm not going to call it an outlier. I do think the Blue Jackets got a lot of... It wasn't a particularly strenuous game for them, I don't think. They faced Dennis Hildeby in goal, who I believe that was his 3rd NHL start or something like that. It was his 2nd NHL start. He's only had 5 games all season. He's the 3rd string goalie. Joseph Woll was not back from injury yet. He is back now. Their backup, Anthony Stolarz, is playing excellently for the Blue Jacket, for the Maple Leafs, excuse me. So that's going to be we'll see what happens there in terms of goalies. I want to talk about Blue Jackets goalies as well in a little bit here, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about the game itself, on the surface, I'm like, oh, okay, it's a Wednesday night against the Leafs, whatever. But Blue Jackets are on a 2-game losing streak. They've ceded ground to basically every team they're in a fight with over the past kind of couple of days. They haven't won a game in almost a week now. I think their last win was last Thursday, which it's only been 2 games, and I'm not worried. Because I think they played great in the Rangers game, especially Daniil Tarasov, who I'm suspecting that we'll see tonight, and a rare bad game against the Islanders. Like, it is what it is. So that being said, they need to come out strong tonight. They need to treat this like a must-win game, because although I don't think anyone else who else is playing tonight? Other games happening tonight. Boston is playing New Jersey. That's an important one that I could do with regulation, because New Jersey currently sitting at 3rd in the Metro. They are, I think, 7 points ahead of the Blue Jackets with 2 games in hand. So that could be interesting. So I could do without that one going to overtime at least. And I could also do with the Devils winning, because Blue Jackets are directly in competition with Boston for one of those wildcard spots. So again, the Blue Jackets are kind of in control of their own fate, but also not, but they can help themselves out in a big way by beating the Leafs. And they can do it. We've seen them do it this season. I think this game is going to be a lot tougher. I think the Leafs had kind of a slow start to the season, if I'm remembering rightly. And again, playing against a goalie in his second ever game is he's always going to help out. But the Blue Jackets outshot the Leafs. They scored 6 goals. They only allowed 2 goals. It was a good game. Can they replicate those results? The answer is maybe. And we'll talk about what the Blue Jackets need to do to win in a second here. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, we'll talk about what the Blue Jackets need to do to win this game. It's coming up in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I've got to tell you about SelectQuote. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, the Olympics, the Stanley Cup. The same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one-size-fits-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage of up to $5 million. No medical exam required. And it's more affordable than you think. You can go up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. That's selectquote.com/LOCKEDON NHL today to get started. Selectquote.com/LockedOnNHL. SelectQuote. They shop, you save. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. There's a couple of things the Blue Jackets have to do here to win this game. First of all, they have to get it. Okay, an obvious one. They need a good performance in goal. The Leafs, for the first time in a while, have 2 extremely good goalies. Joseph Woll is rocking a 907 on the season and is 17-8-0 on the season so far. Anthony Stolarz, the backup, is rocking a 927 and a 952 record. They've both got 1 shutout. It's both goalies are playing extremely well right now. So the Blue Jackets need to win that matchup. On paper, it doesn't look like they're going to. Elvis Merzlikins rocking an 890. Tarasov is at an 872, although that's taken a big jump after his last 2 games, where he's allowed, I think, 1 goal on 61, on one goal, technically, on his last 51 shots, I believe it is, or 2 goals on his last 51 shots, excuse me, because the shootout goal doesn't count, so that technically counts as a shutout. His most recent game, he's bumped his numbers up in a big way. I suspect that Tarasov will probably be starting tonight. Play Elvis tomorrow against Carolina. They seem to be going back to the rotating start one game, sit the next game, start one game, sit the next game, start one game, sit the next game, which I'm fine with. Especially if Tarasov keeps up this play, I think it'll push Elvis to be a little bit better. And I think getting Tarasov more play is good. Getting Elvis a little bit more rest is also good because, I've talked about this on the podcast before. Elvis is not the most durable goalie in the world. And asking him to play, 60 games in a season is probably pushing it a little bit. Meanwhile, Tarasov is one of those goalies that gets better the more you play him. So getting Tarasov more time and Elvis a little bit less is probably in the best interest of the Blue Jackets on both accounts. I don't think Elvis was terrible against the Islanders. I've seen better Elvis games. I've also seen worse Elvis games, and then Tarasov, like I said, his last two starts, he's been extremely, extremely strong. So I would start Elvis tonight. I would start Tarasov tonight and Elvis tomorrow against the Metropolitan opponent. But we'll see what the Blue Jackets do. They'll probably announce it approximately 3 minutes after I finish recording, because I'm recording this at about 10:30 a.m. Eastern. So they need to win the goaltending battle, straight up. Like, Tarasov, like last couple of games, has been good. He's won 0-1 in that time. Joseph Woll, who I suspect the Blue Jackets will see. He's kind of he is their starting goalie. And again, he's been very good for them this season. And the Blue Jackets are in a position where they're going to see number one goalies, especially on the road, which doesn't help their road woes. But last two games, 3 goals on 30 shots for a win in Tampa Bay, and then 3 goals on 35 shots for a win against Montreal. So 2 good games on the bounce. He didn't have the greatest 3 games before that, but he's still on a 3-game winning streak. If they see Anthony Stolarz, I think that could get interesting. He hasn't played since December 12th, when he was pulled. I think he finished the game in relief. 1 goal on 8 shots, but his 3 games before that, 1 goal on 39 shots, 2 goals on 25, 1 goal on 28. But again, he hasn't played in a month and a half, which makes me think that he might be injured, actually. I don't know what the Leafs are looking like. I don't know. I have questions about what's happening with the Leafs goaltending right now. If I can figure out what's going on, I will. But the long and short of it is, Stolarz is hurt at the minute, so we will almost definitely be seeing Joseph Woll, because I don't think they'll put Hildeby in again. The Leafs didn't play last night, and I don't believe they play tomorrow night. I'm just going to double check that. They are inactive tomorrow. So you're going to see Joseph Woll, which I don't believe the Blue Jackets have ever faced Joseph Woll before. He's a relatively new addition to the goaltending core for the Leafs. I think he's only really played a handful of games previous to this season. He's only got 25 games. He's got 61 games in his career. Over 4 seasons, he played 25. He's played 25 so far this year, 25 last year, and then 7, and then 4. And I don't believe the Blue Jackets have faced him yet this season. They've definitely not faced him yet this season, excuse me, but I don't believe they faced him last season. They didn't the season before that. Oh, okay. He has played 2 games against the Blue Jackets. He faced them twice against in February 23, and then again in April 23. Made 36 of 40 saves in a loss, and then 24 of 26 saves in a win. So he's 1-1 all time against the Blue Jackets. We'll see how it goes. Blue Jackets need to win the goaltending. Like, that's the long and short of it here, is the Blue Jackets need to win the goaltending battle. There's a couple of other battles they need to win as well. Special teams, for example, the Leafs are currently 13th in the league in power play percentage and 12th in the league in penalty kill percentage. The Blue Jackets just lost the special teams battle against the worst special teams team in the NHL. It is crucial that they win the special teams tonight. Again, the Leafs top 10 in goals for per game, top 12 in goals against per game. They're a really good face-off team. They're currently on a 3-game winning streak. They just put away Tampa Bay, Montreal, and New Jersey, that last one in overtime. And they've also got Mitch Marner, who is currently at 67 points in 48 games, leading the team right now, which is wild, quite frankly. Good for him. He's clearly playing for a new contract, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. So that's the guy to watch out for on the Leafs. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in just a second. We're going to take another quick break, but when we get back, like I said, we'll talk about Mitch Marner. We'll talk about who else the Blue Jackets need to watch out for and who needs to have a big game for the Blue Jackets. So let's talk about it in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'm going to tell you about FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. That's $300 to keep the action going. All you got to do is go to FanDuel.com, find the heaviest favorite you can, and put $5 on it. If it wins, you get $300 in bonus bets you can spend on whatever you want. FanDuel app is super easy to navigate. The variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com today to join and get started with $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. I talked about Mitch Marner a little bit before the break. We're going to talk about him some more now because he is on a heck of a heater right now. 8 points in his last 5 games. Like I said, he's on 67 points for the season, 15 goals, 52 assists. He's got more assists than anyone on the Blue Jackets has points, which is kind of insane. He had a goal and 2 assists against Tampa Bay. He had 2 assists against Montreal, 2 assists against New Jersey, an assist against Dallas, rocking a 4-game point streak right now, and is just on another level with his points, quite frankly. He is on pace for like 100 points plus, which he hasn't hit yet in his career. He hit 99 points a couple of seasons ago, had 97 the season before that. Like I said, he is due a new contract this summer, I believe. And so he is making his best case to say, yes, I would like $14 million for the next 8 years, please and thank you. Which will be interesting to see. But he's definitely the guy to watch on the Leafs side. Obviously, Austin Matthews, always dangerous. He's got 5 goals in his last 5 games. On kind of a down season for him. He missed a bunch of time with injury. He's only played 33 games. He's only got 37 points in those games. I know that sounds insane, that I'm like, yeah, he's a point-a-game player, or more than a point-a-game player, and that's like a down year for him. But like, he scored almost 70 goals last season. He's only got 19 so far this season. William Nylander leading the goal race for the Maple Leafs with 28. And when you look at the fact that the Blue Jackets don't have a 20-goal scorer yet, the offense, I think, is really going to tilt towards the Maple Leafs. I will say that they don't have a ton of offense coming from their defense. Their leading defenseman in points is Morgan Riley with 22. Oliver Ekman-Larsson has 19, Chris Tanev has 14, Jake McCabe has 13, and everyone else has fewer than 10. So, like, they don't have that big defense coming from the back end like the Blue Jackets do. Admittedly, most of that is coming from Zach Werenski, but they still have Ivan Provorov and Damon Severson with 19 points each on the year. And in terms of forwards, Kirill Marchenko hit 50 points. Second fastest Blue Jackets to do it this season. I think the third fastest in Blue Jackets history. He hit it with, I think, like I think game 47 was when he hit it. So he's, again, continuing to have a great season. We need the Marchenko, Voronkov, Fantilli line to light up tonight. It was kind of on the struggle bus last game. They need it to be back. Like that's the big thing for me is you need to win that top line matchup. So it's going to be Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and then I believe Matthew Nyes is the third guy on that line for Toronto. Having a decent season, 31 points in 46 games for Nyes. Blue Jackets need to win that matchup. My guess is that they will, like the Fantilli line, will get matched up against the Matthews line basically all night. You got to win that matchup. Like, even if you don't put the puck in the net as much as you want to, you need to stop them from doing the same thing because that is a line that will make you pay time and time again. Matthews loves to score on the Blue Jackets. Again, Mitch Marner, great player. And then once you're done facing that line, then you get to deal with William Nylander, who's got 49 points in 48 games, and again is leading this team in scoring. He's playing on their second line right now. So like, you got to win that top line matchup, especially because I don't think you're going to get much reprieve like as you go down the lineup. In terms of Blue Jackets, Kromachenko has 4 points in his last 5 games, all assists. So again, we could really use a Marchenko goal here at the minute. Werenski's got 2 points in his last 5, 2 goals in his last 5 games. Adam Fantilli's point streak tragically broken in the shutout to the Rangers, but great opportunity to start a new one for him tonight. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Is I'm looking at that top line to really do the heavy lifting tonight because they need them to do that. In terms of predictions, again, I've bet on the Blue Jackets all season long, and it doesn't feel right to predict them losing. So if that makes me a homer, then sure. But welcome to the Blue Jackets podcast, where we like the Blue Jackets. It's not surprising, but I'm gonna say the Blue Jackets win 3-2. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that we get a Marchenko goal. I think we're due. That's kind of all I've got. I think that they'll start Tarasov. I would love to see another good game from Tarasov. That'll be 3 good games in a row from him, or 4 technically if you count the second game of his conditioning stint. And watching him find his confidence again is going to be key as you get down the stretch here. Teams start getting tired. You need to have 2 goalies that you can rely on. So Blue Jackets win. Adam Fantilli, Kromachenko goal. Good game from Tarasov. That's what I'm manifesting tonight. So that's all I've got for time for today. Like I said, tomorrow we'll break down tonight's game. We'll take a quick look ahead to the Hurricanes game tomorrow night because that's a heck of a back-to-back. By the way, your reward for facing the Leafs is the next day you've got to fly to North Carolina and play the Hurricanes. Annoying, but it is what it is. We'll talk about tonight's game tomorrow. We'll talk about tomorrow's game tomorrow. And thank you for listening, for making it your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets continues to be free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jacket. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.